sunshine, we shine together. Told you I'll be here forever. Said I'll always be your friend. Took an oath that I'm stick it out till the end. Now that it's raining more than ever, know that we still have each other. You can stand under my umbrella. You can stand under my umbrella.
Hey guys, you're welcome back to my channel today. Thank you so much for stopping by. In this video, I'll be making this trendy BuBu dress that you can see on your screen. If you're interested, keep on watching and let's get started. So for this tutorial, I'll be using 3 yards of crepe fabric, okay, and the wideness of my fabric is about 30 inches, and my fabric is folded into 4. So I folded it into 2 and then I folded it over, okay. The length of this BuBu dress is 45 inches. I'll be adding organza to the base of the dress later. So the next thing I'll do is to take half of my shoulder measurement. So on the shoulder line, I'll be taking half of my shoulder measurement. I'll indicate that using my chalk. From that point, I'm going to determine the length of the sleeve. So I'll place my tape on the shoulder measurement and I'll go down by about 16 inches, which is the sleeves of my client, and I'm left with 4 inches. The 4 inches I'm going to use to fold the sleeve, so I'm not going to cut out anything from this fabric. The next thing I'll do is to start taking my point. So this BuBu dress, we are not going to cut the shoulder, it's going to be on fold the way the fabric is. So the first point I took was the distance from my shoulder to my bust point, which is 13 inches. The next point is distance from my shoulder to my waist point, which is about 19 inches, and the next point is distance from my shoulder to my hip line, which is about 26 inches. I'll go ahead and rule straight lines across all these points. So guys, the next thing I'll do is to determine how opened I want the sleeves area to be. So this is a BuBu dress and we don't want the sleeves to be that tight, okay. So I'm taking the armhole. What I'll do is to go down by about 12 inches from my shoulder line, and remember I took out 4 inches that I'll be using to fold the sleeve. So I'm going to mark the 4 inches into a straight line, just like you see me doing, just so I know where to take my measurements, okay. So I've marked out the 4 inches allowance that I'll be using to fold the sleeves. So the next thing I'll do is to come inward, okay, by like 2 inches, because I'm trying to create my armhole for the dress. I'll come inward by 2 inches from the 4 inches mark, and then I'll connect like this. After doing that, guys, next thing I'll do is to start placing my measurements. On the bust point, I'll go ahead and place my bust circumference divided by 4, and I'll add extra 5 inches to that measurement. So my client wants our dress to be very free, so remember my fabric is folded into 4. By the time I open this whole fabric up, I already added about 25 inches allowance. I hope you understand. So I'm not going to take anything for the waistline because we are not shaping the dress. On the hip line, I'll place my hip circumference divided by 4. I'll also go ahead and add 5 inches. You can also place the same measurement you have on the hip line on the bust point, which is what I even went ahead to do, okay. So I'm just going to connect the line straight down, but before I do that, I'm going to curve out my armhole. So I'm going to curve from the 2 inches mark that I came inward with, just like you see me doing, a little bit slant to meet the mark on the bust line. After doing that, I'll use my ruler to connect from that point to meet the base. So go ahead and add about 1 inch allowance to this armhole area so you don't sew into the main fabric, okay. I marked the 1 inch allowance and then I forgot to connect it back to the armhole. The next thing I did was to connect all the dots together, and I'm going to go ahead and take the neckline. So for the width, I went ahead to take 4.5 inches, which I think is too big. You can just take 3 inches or 3.5 inches. It depends on how big your client is. It was okay on my client, but I felt it was too big. For the width, I came down by 1.5 inches. I'm doing this for both the front and the back. So after doing that, guys, I'm going to go ahead and cut, okay. So I'll cut out the sides first and then I'll go ahead and cut out the neckline. So when you are cutting, cut through the 1 inch allowance. You can see that since I didn't connect the allowance to meet the armhole, I forgot to cut it out, and you can see I already folded the 4 inches allowance on the sleeves area, and I also went ahead to cut out the neckline, and this is what I have. I'll go ahead and open this up. So I've opened the whole fabric up, and this is what I have. So because I ironed my fabric before cutting, you can see the shoulder popping out. What I'm going to do is to place my tape on this shoulder line, and I'll go down by about 8 inches. So I'm doing this on the wrong side of the fabric. Just choose where you want to do this. On the other side, I went down by about 4 inches. So just look at what I am doing, and then I'll also connect into a straight line like this. After doing that, I'm going to place my ruler like this, and I'm going to curve. Okay, you can use your free hand, and you can do any shape that you want to do. I'll go ahead and curve it like this. So guys, after curving, this is what I have. In order to get an accurate measurement, remember we took 1.5 inches from our the width of the neckline earlier. So I'm going to take out the 1.5 inches, and I'm going to mark about 10 inches because I felt that the first line is too small. So after doing that, I connected back to meet the 4 inches. I went ahead to cut this one out first, and I decided to cut the other one to make it bigger. After cutting, this is the shape that I have. So remember, I said you can do any kind of shape that you want. So this is my Asoke. I'll be using Asoke for this. The one you can see on the thumbnail is not Asoke. It was put together by designers, but I'll be using Asoke for this. So my Asoke is folded into 2, and the wideness is half of my shoulder measurement. Okay, so once I open it up, I have double of my shoulder measurement. So what I'll do is to turn my fabric to the right side, and I'll open it up. So just look at what I'm doing. I'll turn my fabric to the right side, and then I'll open it up like this. After doing that, I'm going to place my Asoke on it, just like you see me doing. So I'm going to place the Asoke both on the back neckline and the front neckline. So the length depends on what you want. For the back length, I want it to stop at 6 inches. Okay, so it's going to cover the back neckline and the front neckline. Remember, we didn't cut out the sides, the shoulder of our dress. So I'll mark 6 inches. That is where it's going to stop for the back. I'll place my Asoke like this, and then I'll go ahead and pin it down all the way. So before I forget, the length of this Asoke is about 26 inches. That is how long my client wants it. I'll go ahead and pin this Asoke to the fabric all the way around so that it will not move, because I want to turn it to the other side. After pinning all the way around, guys, I'll go ahead and turn it to the other side, and this is what it looks like on the wrong side. So the next thing I'm going to do is to trace out this neckline. I'm going to cut all the way around. Okay, I'll trace it out. After tracing it out, I'm going to turn it over to the right side for you guys to see what I have. So guys, this is what it looks like on the right side, and you can tell that this Asoke is quite wide, and the body is wider than what you can see on the thumbnail. So I asked my client if she wants me to to trim it. Once we trim it, we are going to lose this red color that we have on the Asoke. In order to make it slimmer, we'll have to trim out this red color, and once we trim it, it's not going to look as colorful as it should be anymore. So we decided to just leave it, hence why the body of this Asoke is wider than what you can see on the thumbnail. So I decided to just trim out this black, okay, from the sides. That will be left with the red. After trimming, guys, this is what I have. I'll go ahead and place it back on the neckline area. So guys, I'll place it back, and I'll go ahead and pin it very well. Pin it all the way around. After pinning, I'm going to take it to a designer shop, okay, and they are going to design the neckline. You can see that the neckline of what you can see on the thumbnail was done by traditional designers. So they are going to design the neckline and the body. They're just going to lay this Asoke flat on the fabric.
24 hours later.
Welcome back, guys. So the designer has done the design on the neckline. He has also laid the Asoke flats on the fabric. So what I did after that was to fold the sleeves. Okay, remember I left 4 inches on the base of the sleeves. I ironed it with my hemming gum. This is it. I folded it twice. I folded 2 inches and then I folded another 2 inches over, and I went ahead to use 1 inch to sew the sides all the way down. Okay, I went ahead to get 3 yards of organza fabric that I'll be adding to the base of this dress. So the length of the organza that I need to complete the length of this dress was 26 inches. I added 2 extra inches to it, making it 28 inches. So I went ahead to gather the upper part of the organza. So what I'll do now is to mark the base of this dress. So after marking, what I had was 31 inches, and you know the dress is already into two, the front and the back. So 31 times 2 is about 62 inches. So I'll gather the organza into to make it 62 inches. So what I'll do is to mark 1 inch up. Okay, I'm going to use my chalk to mark 1 inch all the way around. So this is where I'm going to sew my organza. I'll mark it all the way around. Make sure it's visible, so when you are sewing, you know where to place the organza. And so after marking, guys, this is what I have. I've gone ahead to gather the organza in place, and this is what it looks like, guys. I didn't do much. I just gathered it. I ran a gather stitch and I pulled one end of the thread to form these gathers. If you don't want gathers, you can go ahead and pleat it all the way around. So what I'm going to do is to place this organza on the right side of the dress, and I'm going to sew. After sewing, I'll remove the gather thread on the organza, and I'll go ahead and use the 2 inches that I left on the base of the organza to hem the base of the organza. Yeah, guys, that is all for this tutorial. Okay, I hope it was helpful. If you have any question, please leave it in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel if you are not a subscriber. I'll see you guys in the next one.